Hey y'all, welcome back. This is LeBron James checking in for Mr. Schuler. He's busy at the moment, so I thought I would help him out and create this homework video for you. I hear you guys are working with trigonometry, which is something I use on a daily basis on the plort. So let's take a look at some of these problems. It looks like you're going to need to use the unit circle. So let me pull my unit circle up, at least for these first few, so you can kind of see how I'm getting these answers. Number one says sine of 45 degrees. And you can see that at 45 degrees, the y coordinate is root 2 over 2. So that's going to be our answer for number one. For number two, cosine of 60 degrees, we're going to be looking at the x coordinate at the 60-degree mark. And that's 1/2. So that's going to be the value for number two. Number three says tangent of negative 30 degrees. Now, negative 30 degrees, I don't see that on this unit circle. However, I do know that when I have a negative angle measure, that just means that I'm rotating in the clockwise direction. I'm sure y'all know that too. So if I rotate 30 degrees in the negative direction, that puts me at the same location as 330 degrees, which would be coterminal to negative 30. So I'm going to be looking at that coordinate at 330 degrees and divide the y by the x. Remember that tangent is the y coordinate divided by the x coordinate. So if I look at that y coordinate, it's negative 1/2. So negative 1/2, all divided by root 3 over 2. Now, anytime you give these tangent problems, notice how both the numerator and the denominator have a denominator of 2, and those will cancel out pretty much every time. So I don't really need to write those over 2's. I'm just going to write negative 1 over the square root of 3, and then I'm going to rationalize the denominator. So if I multiply both the numerator and the denominator by root 3, I'm going to end up with negative root 3 over 3. Number four, cosine of 135 degrees. And that one is on my unit circle, so I'm going to look at 135 degrees. I see that in quadrant 2. And cosine is referring to the x coordinate, which is going to be negative root 2 over 2. As we go through these problems, you're going to notice that we're going to get kind of the same group of answers over and over again, and that's because we're looking at the same coordinates over and over again. Number five, let's move this unit circle out of the way so you can see. Sine of 90 degrees. At 90 degrees, the y coordinate is 1. So that's the answer. Tangent of 270 degrees. At 270 degrees, the y coordinate is negative 1, and the x coordinate is 0. Now, you know as well as I do that you are not allowed to divide by 0. If you do, you're going to get a technical foul, and I'm going to eject you from the game of mathematics. So don't be like Draymond Green. Instead, just say that this is undefined. Number 7, let's get this unit circle back out of the way. Sorry that I got to keep moving this back and forth. But just like in basketball, you got to move the ball back and forth. It's very important to keep passing. And I'm going to keep referring back to basketball because that's what I know best, because I'm the greatest of all time, LeBron James. Number 7, sine of 210 degrees. 210 degrees, we can see that in quadrant 3, and sine is referring to the y coordinate there, so negative 1/2 would be our answer. Number 8, tangent of 225 degrees. 225 degrees, again, is in quadrant 3. Notice that the x and y values are the same. They're both negative root 2 over 2. So if I divide negative root 2 over 2 by itself, I'm going to get the same thing that I would get if I divided anything by itself, and that is 1. Just like me, I'm the 1 of 1. Number 9, cosine of 180 degrees. 180 degrees as an x coordinate of negative 1, so that's our answer. Sine of negative 240. Now 240, we see that in quadrant 3, but this is negative 240. So that is going to be coterminal to 120 degrees. And the y-coordinate at 120 degrees is root 3 over 2. Number 11 is sine of positive 240 degrees. So if it's sine of positive 240 degrees, we're going to report back the y-coordinate at that 240 degree mark, which is actually going to be negative root 3 over 2. Sine of 300 degrees. 300 degrees is in that fourth quadrant, and the y-coordinate at that 300 degree mark is negative root 3 over 2. So we actually, surprisingly, get the exact same answer as we got for number 11. Maybe not that surprising, but it is kind of interesting. Number 13, cosine of 330 degrees. 330 degrees is in quadrant 4, and the x value there is root 3 over 2. So my answer, number 13, root 3 over 2. Cosine of 0 degrees, the x-coordinate at 0 degrees is 1, and so that is our answer for number 14. Just like Big Victor Wembanyama, number 1. You're going to have to watch out for him in the coming years. Number 15. Sine of 360 degrees. So at 360 degrees, that is coterminal to 0 degrees. So I'm going to be looking at the exact same coordinates as 0 degrees, and the y-coordinate there is 0. 16 says tangent of negative 180 degrees. Negative 180 degrees is actually coterminal to positive 180 degrees. Which means that we're going to be looking at the coordinate negative 1, 0. So the y-coordinate is 0, the x-coordinate is negative 1. And while we can't divide by 0, we can say that 0 divided by negative 1 is 0. Now starting with number 17, we're looking at the reciprocal functions. Secant of 30 degrees is going to be equal to the reciprocal of cosine of 30 degrees. So we'll evaluate cosine of 30 degrees and then reciprocate it. So at 30 degrees, the x-coordinate is root 3 over 2. So the reciprocal of that would be what I get it when I flip that fraction. So I get 2 over root 3. Not sure why it's not wanting to do that square root there. There we go. Number 18, cotangent of 240 degrees. Now if cotangent, instead of doing y divided by x, we're going to do x divided by y. Now just like with that tangent problem that we had before, both of these are over 2. We're looking at 240 degrees in that quadrant 3. And so we're going to divide x divided by y. That's negative 1 divided by negative root 3. So both of these are negative. A negative divided by a negative is positive. So I really don't need either of these two negative symbols. When I rationalize this number and multiply both the numerator and the denominator by root 3, I'm going to get root 3 over 3. Number 19 is cosecant of 315 degrees. Cosecant is the reciprocal of sine. So I'll be examining the y-coordinate at that angle measure, but I do need to reciprocate it. I need to flip the fraction of whatever that is. At 315 degrees, the y-coordinate is negative root 2 over 2. So if I want to reciprocate that, I'm going to reverse these. I'm going to flip this and make this 2 over root 2. Now I do need to rationalize the denominator just like with number 18. And so when I do that and multiply both the numerator and the denominator by root 2, I'm going to get root 2 over 2. Or I'm sorry, 2 root 2 over 2. This one actually simplifies a little further. Okay, 2 divided by 2 is 1. So that means that this whole thing just equals negative root 2. Let me move this over, give myself a little space here. Number 20 is cotangent of negative on 180 degrees. So cotangent is x over y. So this would be negative 1 over 0. And we've seen one of these before. You are not allowed to divide by 0. So this would just be undefined. Okay, moving down the page here at number 21. Cosecant of 330 degrees. So cosecant of 330 degrees. 330 degrees is in quadrant 4. Cosecant is the reciprocal of sine, so we are going to reciprocate negative 1/2. And so that would be negative 2 over 1, or just negative 2. Secant of negative 135 degrees. Now, positive 135 degrees is in quadrant 2, so negative 135 degrees needs to be in quadrant 3. It's coterminal to 225 degrees, so that's what we'll be looking at. So at 225 degrees, which is coterminal to negative 135, the x value is negative root 2 over 2. So the reciprocal of that would be negative 2 over root 2. Looks like we're going to get the same answer as number 19. So I'm just going to copy and paste what I have up there. Once you rationalize it, you do also get negative root 2. Number 23 says cotangent of negative 30. So negative 30 degrees is coterminal to 330 degrees, so this would be equivalent to cotangent of 330 degrees. Now the x coordinate here is root 3 over 2, and the y is negative 1/2. So if we divide if we divide root 3 by negative 1, we get negative root 3. Number 24, secant of 0 degrees. So secant is the reciprocal of cosine, which is the x coordinate, and the reciprocal of 1 is just itself, so this is just 1. On the back page here, you were just supposed to practice filling out this unit circle. I'll zoom out a little bit here so that you can see it, but I want you to do this over and over again until you can be like me and be able to complete this in under 5 minutes. You can do it. I believe in you. If I had any advice to give you here, it's that you can't be afraid to fail. It's the only way to succeed. You're not going to succeed all the time, and I know that. Trust me. Anyway, this is LeBron James checking out. Thanks for watching, and you'll have a great day.